North Korea Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone. 75. The Riviera of Northeast Asia, creating the miracle on the Taedong River. North Korean Workers' Party can do a market economy. The Wonsan Kumgang International Tourist Zone, dubbed the Riviera of Northeast Asia, is projected to attract 7 million tourists and generate $14 billion in revenue annually following North Korea's denuclearization and the introduction of a market economy. North Korea's Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone is the largest special tourism zone ambitiously promoted by the country. It was officially designated by a decree of the Standing Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly in 2014 and is a comprehensive tourism belt, covering a wide area of about 400 square kilometers along the east coast, including the Wonsan-Kalma Peninsula, Coastal Tourism Zone, the Mount Kumgang Tourism Zone, Masikryong Ski Resort, and the Seokwangsa-Tongchon areas. The total estimated development cost was approximately $7.8 billion as of 2014, and plans have since expanded. The Wonsan-Kalma Coastal Tourism Zone is the fastest-growing core area. Construction began in earnest in 2018, but was delayed several times. However, a completion ceremony presided over by the Supreme Leader was held in June 2025, and domestic tourism began in earnest on July 1, 2025. Spanning approximately 245 hectares, 605 acres, it features 6 large hotels, including Myeongsa-Simni Hotel and 37 inns, offering thousands of hotel rooms, high-rise hotels of over 30 stories, a water park, a stadium, and beach resort facilities, and can accommodate about 20,000 people at a time. The Mount Kumgang tourist area was a region previously developed and operated by Hyundai Asan. But after operations were suspended following the shooting of a South Korean tourist in 2008, North Korea confiscated and froze South Korean assets within the Mount Kumgang area in April 2010 and revoked Hyundai Asan's exclusive rights to the Mount Kumgang tourism business in April 2011. Hyundai Asan agreed to pay a total of $942 million for the Mount Kumgang tourism project, but it was suspended after about half of the payment had been made. Since 2022, starting with Hotel Haegamgang, most of the South Korean facilities, including golf courses, have been demolished and are transitioning to North Korea's own development. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site confirmed in 2025, its natural landscape value is high, but infrastructure renovation is insufficient. As a related facility, the Masikryong Ski Resort is already in operation, and transportation infrastructure, such as the Wonsan Kumgangsan Expressway planned as a 2-lane road, Kalma International Airport, and Wonsan Port is being promoted together. The adoption of the Wonsan-Kalma Coastal Tourism Special Act in May 2025 strengthened the nature of the special zone. However, the content of the law is characterized by increased control, specifically restrictions on communication and the Internet, and enhanced security. As of 2025-2026, operations are mainly targeting domestic tourists, and foreign tourism is limited. Since 2024, there have been attempts to attract some Russian tourists and small-scale Chinese tourists, but these have not been fully realized due to sanctions and political factors. At the 9th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea in 2026, a plan for the development of large-scale tourist zones was formalized, emphasizing the tourism industry as a national strategy. Overall, while the infrastructure is largely complete, attracting foreign tourists and generating revenue is still in the early stages. If UN sanctions are eased or lifted following denuclearization, and North Korea pursues a Chinese-style gradual opening by implementing mixed ownership, expanding private property, and strengthening special laws for special zones, the Wonsan Kumgangsan area is highly likely to grow rapidly into the flagship project of North Korea's tourism industry. In the short term, 1 to 3 years, complete aviation, port, and road infrastructure to attract a large number of Chinese and Russian tourists. And we will fully internationalize the Kalma Coast Resort to revitalize winter tourism at Masikryong Ski Resort and resume cruise tourism linked to the East Sea. In the intermediate period of 3 to 7 years, if a complex resort involving capital from Korea, China, Russia, and Japan is developed to complete a 4-season comprehensive tourism belt linking the natural scenery of Mount Kumgang. Galma Beach, and ski resorts, it will be possible to attract millions of tourists annually. In the long term, as it develops into a high-end tourism hub in Northeast Asia and expands casino, medical and wellness tourism, eco-cultural tourism, and MICE industries, namely meeting, incentive, convention, and exhibition, the scale of development is expected to significantly exceed the 2014 plan of $7.8 billion. While success would yield significant foreign currency earnings, the key success factors include strengthened investment protection, liberalization of telecommunications and the Internet, improved security and service quality, and a balance between political control and commercial activities. It has the strength of being able to differentiate itself as a premium tourism destination due to its outstanding natural scenery and brand value. If denuclearization is achieved and sanctions are lifted, this region will rapidly emerge as the Riviera of Northeast Asia, that is, Asia's largest integrated resort complex. The investment in the integrated resort will create a large-scale complex benchmarking the Macau and Singapore models by combining casinos, MICE, and shopping malls. Investment in cruises and marine leisure will open a shipping route connecting Wonsan, Mount Kumgang, Sokcho, and Japan, emerging as a key base for the East Coast cruise industry. Medical wellness investments will create rehabilitation facilities utilizing hot springs and forest resources to develop a long-stay medical tourism destination targeting the demand of the aging Northeast Asia. Investment in aviation and transportation will revitalize Kalma International Airport, leading to the launch of low-cost carrier LCC routes and the expansion of supporting infrastructure. If denuclearization progresses, competition among neighboring countries over the development of this Northeast Asian Riviera will intensify. Based on its past experience of leading the Mount Kumgang tourism project and its geographical proximity, South Korea is pursuing the establishment of a joint inter-Korean tourism belt connecting Seorak, Kumgang, and Wonsan. Major construction companies and hotel firms, including Hyundai ASEAN, will aim for a comeback. China is already prepared to inject large-scale capital. In particular, it is highly likely to propose large-scale hotel and casino investments in the Wonsan region to absorb the demand for marine tourism. From the population of the 3 northeastern provinces, if the guarantee of denuclearization is certain, global hotel chains such as Hyatt and Marriott will explore entering the market to enhance their brand value. If the U.S. Trump Hotel is established, it could serve as a guarantee of regime security and act as a hostage from North Korea's perspective. I will discuss the competitive landscape of participants by major industrial investment category in the Wonsan Kumgangsan International Tourist Zone following denuclearization. This is a coastal resort and hotel operation business. Current participants' infrastructure for the Galma Coastal Tourism Zone with a capacity of 20,000 rooms has been completed, and the operating entity is a North Korean state-run tourism agency. Some Russian tourists are visiting in the form of individual tours outside of sanctions. Post-denuclearization competitive entrants include South Korea's Lotte Hotel, Shilla Hotel, and Paradise Singapore's Genting Group, France's Accor Group, the U.S.'s Marriott and Hilton, and China's Huazhu Hotel. Competitive landscape Singaporean and Hong Kong operators with 20 to 30 years of experience in the East Asian luxury resort market are expected to be the most eager to enter. North Korea will likely prioritize South Korean companies as negotiation partners due to their political symbolism and cultural affinity, but public opinion within South Korea and government approval procedures are variables. While U.S. companies plan to enter after denuclearization is complete, there are firms aiming for the symbolic significance of being the first U.S. brand to enter due to President Trump's direct remarks of interest. Casino and integrated resort business. Current participants. A casino facility is currently under construction in the Galma district, with a policy of operation exclusively for foreigners. It possesses experience in operating small-scale foreigner-only casinos in Pyongyang and Rason. Competitors entering the race after denuclearization include Macau's Melco Resorts and Sands China, Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, South Korea's Grand Korea Leisure GKL, and Paradise, and the U.S.'s MGM and Caesars. Competitive landscape Macau casino tycoons have the strongest intention to enter the market, as they are most eager to diversify into overseas markets due to the Chinese government's tightening regulations. Korea's GKL is suitable as an initial consulting and joint venture partner due to its expertise in operating casinos exclusively for foreigners. A casino license is one of North Korea's most powerful negotiating leverages, making a license premium agreement more advantageous to North Korea than a simple profit-sharing arrangement. Duty-free, distribution, and shopping business. Current participants, small-scale shops based on US dollars, euros, and Chinese yuan are in operation, and cosmetics and souvenir shops exist within the Galma district. Competitive entrants after denuclearization, South Korea's Lotte duty-free, Shilla duty-free, and Shinsegae duty-free China's China International Travel Service CITS, and Japan's Laox, among others. Competitive landscape. The three major Korean duty-free companies hold an overwhelming advantage in experience attracting global Chinese tourists. Achieving the annual target of 5 million tourists could generate $500 million to $1 billion in annual duty-free sales alone. Due to the characteristics of the East Coast, it is also advantageous for attracting Japanese tourists via direct flights, making participation by Japanese retailers feasible. This is an aviation and transportation infrastructure project. Current participants Kalma International Airport is located in Wonsan, but currently only domestic flights are possible. It is estimated that up to 170 foreigners will enter the country daily via the Pyongyang-Vladivostok route. Post-denuclearization competitive entrants. South Korea's Korean Air and Asiana Airlines, Japan's ANA and JAL, China's Air China and China Southern Airlines, Russia's Aeroflot, etc. Competitive landscape. With a 45-minute direct flight from Seoul to Wonsan and a 2-hour direct flight from Tokyo to Wonsan, it forms the shortest tourist route in East Asia. The right to operate international flights at Kalma Airport is a key bargaining chip, and the flight permit fee, landing fee, and annual guaranteed passenger contract structure per airline are advantageous to North Korea. Golf and sports tourism business. Current participants Ananti Golf Resort is the only facility, but it has been closed since the COVID-19 pandemic. Hyundai Asan invested in it, but it is currently effectively managed by North Korea. Post-denuclearization competitive entrants include the redevelopment of Ananti in Korea, a US PGA Tour-affiliated course developer, and European golf resort operators. Competitive landscape. The scenery of the East Coast and the terrain near Masikryong Ski Resort provide optimal conditions for the development of a high-end golf and ski complex resort. In particular, Masikryong Ski Resort is a modern facility completed in 2013, making it possible to establish a year-round four-season tourism model that combines winter sports with summer coastal tourism. Medical and wellness tourism business. Current participants: none, and it remains undeveloped due to sanctions. Competitors after denuclearization: Samsung Seoul Hospital, Severance Hospital, and Seoul National University Bundang Hospital in South Korea. Raffles Medical Center in Singapore, Bumrungrad Hospital in Thailand, etc. Competitive landscape. The expansion of the South Korean medical tourism system into North Korea is the most natural model. A healing and wellness resort format combined with the pristine natural environment of the East Coast can absorb the demand for high-value medical tourism. Initially, a model in which Korean medical institutions directly operate treatment centers is likely, while in the mid to long term, a structure combined with the training of local medical personnel is expected. Now let's look at the investment incentives North Korea can offer. The strongest incentive is the provision of 50-year exclusive development rights along the coastline as a long-term land use right. In particular, it is possible to allocate mixed-use development sites to foreign investors that combine sandy beaches of over 5 kilometers along the east coast with the surrounding mountainous areas. Exclusive business rights provide the exclusive issuance of 2 to 3 casino licenses, limiting duty-free shop operating rights to 1 per country, and guaranteeing the blocking of competing hotels within specific tourist zones. Business rights with guaranteed exclusivity generate a massive premium in themselves. Tax benefits include a 20-year exemption from corporate tax within the tourism zone, liberalization of foreign currency remittance of foreign tourism revenue, and duty-free application for imported tourism goods and equipment. We provide visa and entry simplification measures, including the introduction of visa on arrival or visa-free entry for Korean, Japanese, and Chinese nationals, permission for dedicated charter flights at Kalma Airport, and the easing of movement restrictions within the special tourism zone. This is the fastest means to achieve a substantial increase in tourists. Through special permission for telecommunications and the Internet, we provide global Internet access, normalization of roaming services, and permission to post on social media within the special tourism zone. If these issues are not resolved, attracting Western tourists will be impossible. A plan to pursue the best interests of North Korea is also necessary. Principle 1. Utilize tourism as an early monetization card in denuclearization negotiations. Since individual tourism to Mount Kumgang is not subject to UN sanctions, allowing the resumption of tourism even before a denuclearization agreement can signal a willingness to open up to the international community, while simultaneously securing immediate foreign currency revenue. A package deal structure that specifies the resumption of tourism to Mount Kumgang as a corresponding measure by the U.S. for initial steps toward denuclearization is the most advantageous. Principle 2. Turn the demolition of Hyundai Asan facilities into negotiation leverage. Regarding the South Korean facilities that have already been demolished, we propose a negotiation table conditional on new investment by Hyundai Asan and reconstruction of the facilities upon reaching a denuclearization agreement. Since the demand for compensation for confiscation and demolition is effectively neutralized, as long as the Hyundai Group seeks permission to re-enter, a structure that nullifies the existing compensation issue and starts anew under new conditions is actually advantageous to North Korea. Principle 3. Ensuring directness of tourism revenue and minimizing external control. The structure for tourism payments will be changed from the previous lump sum payment method by Hyundai Asan to one where North Korean state-run tourism companies directly collect payments from individual revenue sources such as admission fees, accommodation fees, duty-free sales, and casinos. Principle 4. Preserve bargaining chips through the phased expansion of the tourism belt. Open the tourism belt connecting Galma Beach, Mount Kumgang, Masikryong-Tongchon sequentially in stages. By confirming profits through the opening of Galma in Stage 1 and then proposing the reopening of Mount Kumgang in Stage 2, new negotiations with foreign investors can be conducted at each stage to continuously extract more favorable terms. Opening the entire area at once eliminates negotiation leverage. Principle 5. Create a virtuous cycle by investing tourism district revenue into domestic manufacturing infrastructure. Reinvest tourism foreign exchange earnings in fostering small and medium-sized manufacturing businesses near Wonsan. We implement an internalization strategy to procure consumer goods such as towels, bedding, food and beverages, and souvenirs within Galma Resort through local production in their place of origin, acquire technical skills through the training of personnel, such as hotel chefs and engineers, and establish a flexible employment system that operates as resort workers during the tourist season and factory workers during the off-season. Principle 6. Intentionally create a competitive landscape among multiple countries by establishing a structure that allows Singapore for hotel operations, Korea for duty-free shops, Macau for casinos, and China and Japan for airlines. We prevent any single country from monopolizing the Wonsan Kumgangsan area. This follows the same logic as the multipolarization strategy of the Raison Special Economic Zone, and is a core principle for permanently maintaining North Korea's negotiating power through continuous competition. Principle 7. The strategy is to secure an operating stake rather than sales. Rather than selling the facility after construction, a structure should be established, where government agencies or state-owned enterprises participate in the form of a joint venture JV to receive a certain percentage of revenue as royalties. This serves as a sustainable source of foreign currency revenue. Principle 8. A strategy to foster the MICE industry. We must go beyond simple tourism and attract international conferences and exhibitions. This is a way to reduce Pyongyang's political burden while expanding contact with the international community and generating tourism revenue without an off-season. Principle 9. Environmental conservation measures and a high value-added strategy. The value of Mount Kumgang plummets in the event of reckless development. Long-term high revenue can only be guaranteed by maintaining the brand value of eco-friendly luxury tourism through the application of strict environmental laws. This is a forecast of the revenue potential of the Wonsan Kumgangsan region following denuclearization. Under a conservative scenario, based on 1 million foreign tourists annually and an expenditure of $500 per person, tourism revenue alone could reach $500 million. Under the basic scenario, the scale is $4.5 billion annually based on 3 million tourists, 1 million each from Korea, China, and Japan, and $1,500 per person, including casinos, duty-free shopping, and accommodation. Under an optimistic scenario, 7 million tourists, half of Jeju Island's 15 million annual tourists, and based on $2,000 per person, this amounts to $14 billion annually. Unlike the revenue from logistics and minerals in the Rason Special Economic Zone, tourism revenue is the sector that will bring the fastest effect to North Korea's initial economic stabilization due to its short payback period, and the possibility of an immediate inflow of foreign currency. The Wonsan Kumgangsan area serves as the face of North Korea's economic reconstruction. Next time, we will talk about the Gyeongsong, Eorang, and Hwadai regions along the east coast. Thank you.